What's up guys, Cody here today with another Ethereal video looking at all the items of Ethereal, and this one is going to be about bows, which obviously is going to be more geared towards ADCs, and that's kind of where my thought process is going to be, but these items can also be used on obviously any type of like assassin or fighter type of class for the game, probably. So yeah, let's get right on into it. The bows give attack speed and crit chance. Bows give attack speed and crit chance. The different ones just vary for where the stats are allocated. So yeah, let's look right at the tier. Starting with the Bow of Hysteria. When within 100 units of an opposing myth, gain 15 to 25% attack speed. Bonus is had for melee miss. This one, when I saw this, looked really bad. This looks pretty bad. So why would I get this item when I could just get another item which would have potentially a more useful passive? If I'm a ranged myth and I'm within 100 units of somebody, I'm assuming 100 units is an extremely short range. So if I'm a ranged person, if I'm within 100 units of somebody, I'm gonna die probably, or I'm already gonna be killing the person. Like there's you don't want to be within 100 units if you're a ranged person. And then if you're a melee, you're only getting the 7.5 to 12.5 bonus here. Which, so we're looking at a total of 32.5, 37.5. I'm not really buying it. I'm not really sold on the item for an extra like 10% attack speed mid game. Like that's what you're paying for. Like this is meant to be really a melee item. The range units don't make good use of this, and melee units don't. I say units, myths, champions, whatever you want to. Melee myths don't make amazing use of this as well. You're spending all this money to get an extra 10% attack speed come mid game, and it's not even 10%. It's like you're gonna see the other items. Like this one gives 30%, and it's like I'd rather just get that item instead of like I'd rather get this item for whatever the passive is over the Bow of Hysteria. Unless there's some weird build where you can be a ranged unit that can properly make use of this item, which I don't think there's going to be, because that would be very awkward. Yeah, this item is just garbage. This item is just straight up garbage. It's just straight up garbage. Divergent Bow. Range basic attacks, ricochet to the nearest enemy hits. Applying on-hit effects, losing 20% of their damage past the first, down to 30%. Enemies can only be and cannot bounce to the first target. Right. So this is like a static shiv almost. Or I guess it's more like a Runans. It's a Runans with a static shiv. I don't know what on-hit effects there are in the game. I know that there's some effects that I know that there's one that's gonna act like a red buff. Which will be pretty interesting with this. I know that there are some I know that there's like a Lich Bane effect, which would be interesting to see if that applies on this as well. However, I don't think the Lich Bane item would work well with this because in terms of stats, it wouldn't work well. It doesn't have crit chance, and this does. So yeah, it depends on do you have on hit effects in your kit? If you do, you're probably gonna get this item. Are you getting other on hit effects? Which, like I said, I know that there's like the Grievous Wounds effects. There is Thunderbow Blade, which I would imagine applies on this as well. Maybe. It's not exactly stated properly. That one would be interesting to check. Now that would actually be interesting. But there are a small bit of items that do have synergy with this, but Yeah, this would be interesting. Like it's like its own separate little build, on hit build. Um, I think this mostly will end up depending on kits and how good those on hit items are compared to like just a straight up crit damage. Eon's bow, your critical damage is increased. That was not the same value from before, and I'm gonna load up this. Yeah, they've already changed that value on me. Plus 250%, and now it's down to 200. Very interesting. Obviously you're gonna anybody that's getting a crit build that's in get this clearly. So yeah. There was like I did briefly show that there is this crystal sword here, which you could get in a head. Which I think is viable. I definitely think that's viable. Um, but I've already shown like the X's already, and depending upon like what you want, you could go like the Kratos axe into Eon's bow, or you could go Kratos axe into Thunderbow blade into the sword. I think those build paths are all. I think those build paths are all. Definitely, if you wanted like the early critical damage, um, with the yeah, I think they're all viable paths. I definitely think the Kratos axe into Thunderbow blade into the Crystal Sword is probably going to be a better scaling build because the Crystal Sword gets a ton of AD, and Thunderbow blade makes up for the loss of attack speed. Because like if you went Eon's bow, I think after Eon's bow you would end up just going Thunderbow blade anyways, probably at least. And we'll get to I'll go over Thunderbow. I'm just going in alphabetical order. Produces string. This is a OP item, by the way. Your first attack on the enemy myth, it turns them to stone. It's a 1 second stun every 30 seconds just from attacking them. Yeah, this is broken. Nonsense. I say it's broken, but it's like it's broken in the sense that you out extra stats in exchange for having a 1 second stun. So there is a trade off there. There is a trade off. However, think of it this way. Imagine if Ash just ulted you for 1 second. Like ulted you every 30 seconds by autoing you. And the ult stunned you for 1 second. Like, kind of broken. Because pair this now with a tank engage support that is going to, like, the tank engage support can either stun you, and then the ADC can auto you with this item, and then you're stunned again. Or the ADC can stun you, and then the support can stun you. It's just like the CC layer is what's the problem here. This item definitely gets worse as the game progresses, for sure. As you get into team fights, this 1 second stun starts to become a lot worse, and maybe that makes the item unplayable. Maybe that makes it so that you don't get this item and whatnot. But if the meta ends up being like 4v4 skirmishes while you have people pushing the side lanes, or 3v3 skirmishes and whatnot, then this item is going to be really strong. It's going to be so strong. But if the game ends up being like very big 6v16 fights, this can very easily be not useful. It's definitely much better earlier on in the game. Just because 6v16 fights generally means that yeah, it gets mid-late game type of scenario. So yeah, we'll see. Obsidian Bow. After landing 3 critical hits, your next basic attack will be by 100% crit damage. Ooh. Ooh. Not see this. I don't know when you would buy this. This is This is an item I think you would want as like a fourth item. Because you want to be landing critical hits. You want to be making sure you get crits in. So probably a fourth item. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing a pattern here of Yeah, Eon's Bow and Crystal Sword I think are going to be very interchangeable builds based on like how you want to be playing the game. I'm just very confused as to where Divergent Bow. Like Divergent Bow is crit, and I'm not exactly sure. Like I guess you could get Divergent Bow, and like once again, I don't know. Is when this says the attack ricochets, does it apply crit? And if it does that mean Obsidian Bow will get amplified by Divergent Bow? I don't know. But yeah, I'm definitely like leaning more towards Crystal Sword over Eon's Bow, and that's why I had to like show Crystal Sword because I know the Obsidian Bow definitely seems like a really good item. I think because at that point, like right now, like my thought process is Credo's Axe of Credo first item, 15% crit chance. Okay, into Thunderbolt Blade, 25%. So that's 40% total. Into Crystal Sword, which is another 25%, is 65% total. Into Obsidian Bow, which gives you 90% total crit chance at the end of all that. I think that's really strong. And technically you could top it off with something else, but good. That seems really strong. Really strong. Yeah. Yeah, and then Thunder Bowblade. This item is, I think, it's just gotta be must buy. Landing critical strikes on enemies increase your movement speed by 10 and attack speed by 5%. This does have to be a critical strike hit, but however, I think it's so useful to have that you probably want to get on. The stats are really good on it compared to like all the other items. Like it's got as much stats as like some of the other stuff, but like get my point though. Like I think 30% attack speed, 20% chance is just stats in general with this passive. Um, and it's just I think that don't immediately get the huge benefit out of this when you initially buy it if you're pairing with something like Credo's Axe, because Credo's Axe 40% total crit chance. However, you get 40% crit chance, and then let's say go to the let's say you get the spike. Let's say you get the spike sheets. Another 10% crit is what I figured. That puts you up to 50% just from having a tier 2 item as a third item. That seems pretty strong. In my opinion, pretty worthwhile. You're applying this every other hit. And yeah, I think Thunderbolt Blade is just really strong. In my opinion, it's a PD. It's a PD that applies on crits. So yeah, it's a really strong, in my opinion. But yeah, that's gonna be it for that. I mostly talked in terms of ADCs, mostly because I don't really know how like fighters and whatnot is gonna make items. It definitely can, because when you just have to think of like Master Yi. If there's champions like that, or I guess Tryndamere too, then like I guess anybody that has like abilities that proc crit effects, that'll work too. Yeah. That's gonna be it for the bow video. Remember to check out all my other videos on all my other item reviews for Ethereal. Yeah. Like and subscribe if you did. I stream over on Twitch, twitch.tv/CW516. I play mostly League of Legends over there, but as soon as Ethereal comes out, you'll be seeing a ton of Ethereal come out too. So yeah, guys, and catch you in the next one.